PNG warned of increased drug smuggling operations. Minister suspends the UOG Governing Council. And Gogodala people mourn the burning down of traditional house.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
A very good evening to you and thanks for joining me with Tuesday's news. We begin tonight's bulletin with a story on the National Rugby League broadcast rights. It has come to the notice of MTV that other broadcasters have recently announced that they have purchased broadcasting rights for the National Rugby League competition. As exclusive broadcaster for the NRL for the past 28 years, through our free-to-air service, our commitment to our viewers and advertisers continue. Our understanding remains that we hold exclusive NRL broadcast rights for 2015 through to 2017, and we have not been made aware of any formal tender process to say otherwise. We have sought clarification from the NRL and IMG as their agent, and until such time as we receive clarification on this matter, we will continue with business as usual to bring you all your NRL action free of charge. Well, Papua New Guinea is facing the threats of increased activities by transitional criminals who have the ability and resources to establish large stimulant drug smuggling operations in the country. Following a workshop here in Port Moresby yesterday, participants at another workshop in Lae City were reminded this morning that PNG's weak drug laws and the lack of awareness provide an ideal environment for such operations. Australian police have identified several instances where ingredients for ice have been intercepted during transit from Papua New Guinea.
Amphetamine-type stimulants, or ATS, are a group of drugs that include amphetamine and methamphetamine. In many countries, including our closest neighbours, Australia and Indonesia, the extensive use of the drugs have become national concerns. At this conference this morning in Lae, members of the Australian Border Force and the Federal Police took the participants through the methods of smuggling and the effects of the drugs. What's disturbing is that the frightening global trend could take root here in the future.
There is, traditionally we would see in Australian context, goods coming directly from the source countries, but nowadays organised crime are using more sophisticated methods to disguise the origin of those goods, and so the Pacific Island nations are very important in terms of transit points.
Papua New Guinea has its own drug problems in the form of marijuana. The extensive trade and the networks could easily be used to smuggle drugs like amphetamine-type stimulants that come from China and other parts of Asia. Drug smugglers have also found loopholes that are legal and work for them. Some of the ingredients used to make amphetamine-type stimulants can be found in common cold medicine or can be imported by legitimate pharmaceutical companies in large amounts. For Papua New Guinea, our drug laws are so weak that it does not deter smugglers.
I think the current legislations are not tough enough, so they need to review the existing legislation that deals with drugs, and they need to improve, especially the penalties.
The minimum sentence for drug possession is 9 months. The maximum is 2 years. Scott Waide, National EMTV News, Lae.
The Governing Council of the University of Goroka has been suspended. Minister for Higher Education, Malakai Tabar, says an interim council is expected to be in place in the next 2 days. The first order of business for the Governing Council will be to suspend the current Vice-Chancellor and appoint an interim VC for the university.
This announcement follows Minister Tabar's visit over the weekend to the University of Goroka. He said he found the visit disappointing on 2 fronts. Firstly, the University Council has not seen fit to resolve the issue for more than 3 weeks.
Were not able to provide a satisfactory reason for the protest. Tabar said he met with various stakeholders, including the university's top management and a group of around 300 students. However, he was not able to meet with the executives of the Students' Representative Council because they were under police custody.
I was asked to ask the police to release the students. I turned up there on Sunday. I had a meeting with the provincial police commander and the governor of the province, and I posed this question. On the Sunday afternoon, came back to me, sorry, this is a civil matter, it is going to court.
The minister said they reached a decision to suspend the governing council because the student unrest has not been resolved within a reasonable amount of time and the situation on the ground can deteriorate further. He said under the Education Act, the Minister for Higher Education has the powers to intervene in such circumstances in order to minimize disruption to the students, the university staff, and the wider community.
Ministerial intervention is not being taken lightly here. I find this as a very poor precedence on my part, but it is a precedence. I find it necessary at this time.
He also said an independent mediator will be appointed to resolve issues between the current governing council and the small group of students leading the student protest. Classes at the university were supposed to start yesterday as the start of the second semester. The minister said if classes do not resume by the start of next week, the second semester is likely to be suspended.
The students will now have to apply back to the institution. And unfortunately, I will say this, the scholarships might not have to be available 2016.
Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
Port Moresby is headed for a double dose of troubled days as El Niño conditions continue to take effect on the water levels at Sirinumu Dam outside Port Moresby. Owners of petrol engine vehicles are likely to ground their vehicles as a result of fuel shortage. Though consumers of water, electricity and fuel are advised to cut back on their consumption rates, the situation is likely to have an effect on the entire city population. MTV's Quinton Allen reports.
The streets of Port Moresby are turning dry and dusty as the dry weather sets in. Water levels at Port Moresby's main supply of water at the Sirinumu Dam and electricity at Rauna Dam is declining, while effects of the continued dry season starts to take its toll in the nation's capital. Vehicle owners are struggling with fuel supply rationing. As of last Saturday, Puma Energy service stations were turning away customers looking for petrol. This morning, all Puma service stations turned away petrol engine vehicles. Some vehicle owners turned to roadside sellers to buy petrol sold at inflated prices.
Coming up now.
The Office of the Prime Minister said the government is talking to Puma Energy to address this issue affecting the supply of fuel. But Puma Energy has taken this commercial decision to protect federal laws and assets until negotiations with the government on appropriate customs and licensing regimes to continue its refining activities. While fuel shortage is already affecting vehicle owners in the city, water and electricity suppliers are advising city residents to be conscious of using them wisely. As this dry spell continues, containers would be useful for storing water once water rationing starts. Quinton Alomp, National EMTV News.
Well, all Puma Energy fuel stations have run out of petrol and are only supplying diesel. But Prime Minister Peter O'Neill, in a late statement, said fuel supply in Port Moresby is sufficient as other suppliers will step in to fill in the gap left by Puma Energy. MTV's Adelaide Kari also caught up with Port Moresby residents joining long queues at the fuel stations.
Long queues will become a common sight in the nation's capital, with petrol unavailable at Puma Energy fuel stations and only available at mobile fuel stations in Port Moresby. Mobile fuel stations retail site manager Tonisia Durusi reassured MTV that Mobile will have a steady supply of petrol and diesel.
We are currently saving petrol. The moment our underground level of fuel goes down, we will definitely have our deliveries to supply fuel, so we will continue to deliver.
Meanwhile, business opportunists have taken advantage of the situation by selling petrol outside Puma fuel stations to willing customers who are willing to purchase 2 litres of petrol for 25 kina.
One bag container makes him 5 kina profit.
5 kina profit.
Yeah.
So how much the container you sell?
10 plan.
Diesel is available at both Puma and Mobile fuel stations. However, petrol is only available at Mobile stations located at Ella Beach, Waigani and Rainbow. But customers are advised to be prepared to be patient as queues are quite long. Adelaide Siraks Kari, National EMTV News.
Plenty more to come on National EMTV News tonight. A mother and daughter brutally killed. Also, villagers grieve the loss of traditional house and problems faced by Madang police in prosecuting offenders. Stay with us. Good to have you back with National EMTV News. A mother and her 3-year-old daughter were killed in a brutal attack yesterday morning in the Gelagala area of East New Britain. Police reported that a male assailant attacked his elder sister by chopping off her arm as she was praying in her house at 1 a.m. yesterday. The 3-year-old daughter, who was in shock, went to collect her mother's amputated arm, but was also hacked to death by her uncle. The community retaliated and killed the attacker and then burnt his corpse after fearing that he might go on a killing spree. Community leaders in the area say the attacker was a heavy marijuana user and was alleged to have been a member of a demonic cult-like movement in the area. Kokopo police have already begun an investigation into the incident. A need for basic resources is dragging down the Criminal Investigations Division of the Madang Police Force. The CID division, apart from investigating and tracking down criminals, has to prepare court files in order for criminal cases to go through to court so that justice can be done. The recent Modilon doctor's kidnapping may not go through to court because the court files are far from being ready.
In order for the court to trial the cases, like the recent kidnapping of the Modilon doctors, court files of the suspects in custodies have to be provided, and in order to prepare these court files, the Madang Criminal Investigations Division needs things like papers, but they don't have it.
I've sent in my request to the Office of the Provincial Police Commander, to the Madang Provincial Administration, Office of the Governor, Madang Provincial Administrator, District Administrator, for them to assist us in some ways to get those cases go through, like providing us with papers or providing us with toners for the computers. My request was sent in some months ago.
One suspect of a major crime has about 4 court files, and if 10 people are arrested, it's 4 each for all 10 suspects.
One thick file like this, it would cost 5,000 to 6,000 kina to produce a court file. If we try to get as much as evidence, the best evidence, in order for us to convict the person, we could produce about 200-300 pages court file in order for a person to get conviction.
Another major crime that may also be thrown out of court as a result of the no-paper situation is the clash between the Dalam and Umun villages that has recorded yet another killing over the weekend. This time, it is a grade 10 student of the Tuspab Secondary School. This brings the number of deaths, in this case alone, to 6, and that's causing commotions on the ground back in those villages.
Students go to school with fear. They carry bush knives and they carry knives with them and go to school and come back home because they fear that someone might attack them along the way, so they carry knives to protect themselves.
Rachel Shise, National EMTV News, Madang.
Rice grown in parts of the country have been harvested. Rice company Trukai is using the local rice to feed a dedicated consumer market. Trukai Industries CEO Greg Worthington Aya says the company has begun shipping rice from Central and the Ora provinces. MTV's Bethany Harriman reports.
In these pictures taken last week at Sombera village, Oro farmers prepare a harvest to be sent to Lay's Trukai mill. The harvest being inspected by Trukai Industries chairman Mark Robertson and sister company Sunrise chairman Lowry Arthur. 500 rice farmers that make up the Oro Rice Growers Cooperative initially agreed to supply Trukai with over 2,000 tons per year. But that agreement is expected to change when more farmers get involved.
There are many more farmers that were prepared to come on board and so that will then increase the growing area, it will increase the yield, and hopefully through the rice extensions and the training and development that we will give them, then we'll be able to increase that yield, and potentially over the medium term we're seeking to purchase anything up to 5,000 tonne.
Trukai CEO Greg Worthington Ayres says a rice development purchasing agreement similar to that of West New Britain, Central and Moresby is in discussions for Oro farmers, whilst Oro rice has already been shipped to Lae. Places mentioned by the Trukai CEO to have produced quality yields include Kapore in the West New Britain province and Maigabare in the Central province, where rice growing on 4 hectares of land has produced an average of 5 tonnes per hectare. It comes as the national government speaks of nationwide food security during the dry spell that's hit the country.
So I think food security is a very important thing for Papua New Guinea at the moment, and all I would say is that Trukai stands ready to support that agenda with the government of Papua New Guinea.
The country's only rice manufacturing company wants to source rice from Papua New Guinean farmers to feed a dedicated consumer market. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News, Lae.
And now let's take a look at the finance news. The kina closed unchanged at $0.3565 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, our kina was trading at $0.3490 $0.4879 Australian dollars, $0.3075 euro, and 41.92 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold, coffee, cocoa, and copra all closed the day higher. Palm oil, crude oil, and copper all closed the day lower. And lastly, on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 115 points lower, the ASX closed at 52 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 57 points higher. Still to come on National EMTV News, health clinic in Gulf in need of assistance and a new water supply system for Wallium Station in Madang. Stay with us. Good to have you back with the news. Governor for the National Capital District, Paus Parkett, today launched the Internet for Schools program. As part of the program, Governor Parkett will provide 10,500 3G tablets to students in NCD. The launch took place at the Kila Kila Secondary School, where the first 200 tablets were distributed.
Governor Parkett was at the Kila Kila Secondary School in Port Moresby today to launch the Internet for Schools program. Over 10,000 tablets will be provided to school students as part of the program, which will see free internet access to 50 primary and secondary schools in NCD. The program is aimed at helping students excel academically with the ease of internet access. The tablets will be distributed as soon as the schedule is finalized. NCDC has collaborated with a mobile communications company to share poles in exchange for free internet services for the schools. The tablets will have access to an e-learning program which provides access to over 30 million documents on educational subjects such as history, arts and literature to computer science. Kila Kila Secondary School Captain Tony Perry thanked Governor Parkett for this new tool that will empower the younger generation with the power of knowledge at their fingertips. The free internet access will also be of great assistance to teachers in terms of program planning and development of teaching materials, while allowing them to access and network with other teachers across PNG and abroad. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
Tarapo Health Clinic in East Kerama, Gulf Province, is in need of assistance. The church-run clinic, which serves over 8,000 people in Tarapo village in the Tarea Lakakam LLG, has been operating without funds for weeks. Community health workers there are appealing for help from health agencies as the clinic is facing closure.
This old building, once used as rooms for a construction company, is now a health center for the people of Tarapo village. Tarapo village sits next to the Hiritano Highway to Gulf Province and has a growing population of 8,000 plus. When we visited the clinic last Friday, we could see the whole building is nowhere near the standard of serving sick patients.
And inside this building, There are termites and whatnot. Everything that you can name them, they are in there. Snakes too, they are all, everything is in there.
The clinic has one outpatient room and one labor ward. Community health workers here say when the labor ward is full, women are forced to give birth outside on the yard. Also, the clinic cannot cater for serious emergencies.
We are only CHWs working here, so any emergency case that we cannot do it, we refer to Malawa for the HO too.
Funding and workers' salaries are also other issues the clinic and its staff are facing.
We rely heavily on the patients. So we tell them, you come with something, come help us out. You have something in your pockets, then help us out.
Their appeal now is to the health department and the Catholic Health Services to come to their assistance as the clinic is facing closure.
We want the people responsible. I think we haven't been seeing a lot of those guys around, and at least visiting us and looking at what it's like, you know. So we really want those who are up there to come down and see the situation themselves.
Stanley Ovett Jr., National EMTV News.
Communities at the Walliam Station in the Usinobundi district for the first time will access a new water supply system. The water supply will help a lot as the district is also feeling the pinch of the current dry weather conditions. Usinobundi MP Anton Yagama and district officers opened the water project recently.
We got declaring Walliam water supply system here. We declare him open the
The water project is the first to be established to serve public servants in Walliam and surrounding communities. Costing 250,000 kina, the project aims to solve some of the issues faced during the dry season as effects of the El Nino sweeps across the country.
So there's a lot of come long one play me and people something through long life play me long Usinobudi and making more that above play me come up easy long school. Long administration, now all kind of work.
Project developer and man behind the initial development of the water project, Alphonse Mapi, says the supply must extend to other wards in the Walliam station.
The Walliam district and stuff long time too. I think more than 25, 26 years, 36 years something. You know got water long. Running this within Bundi project of water and then Mr. the member of Budina.
A check of 50,000 kina was also presented to NGO group World Vision for water projects in the district. Meanwhile, police in the district were presented desktop computers, printers and other office accessories to help in the duties. Police in Bundi and Ramu received similar office accessories.
So when I'm saying computer science give me plan, I mean I'll me plan more long. If they work more la program long me plan long. Deliver me the service people plan long.
The computers will help police in dealing with the backlog of police investigations and compiling of police reports in the district. Jack Lepava Jr., National EMTV News.
Population and landmass must be considered by the national government when planning DSIP funds. Karakuhiri MP Peter Esoimo said this when he visited remote Menari village in the Koyari LLG. The local MP says it's a mammoth task to deliver services to over 120,000 people compared to other electorates with a lesser population. Peter Esoimo says electorates like Goilala, Brigo and Abao in Central Province have less people to manage compared to his electorates. Thus, the limitation in delivering projects is a real burden.
You know, in Central Province, you have electorates like Goilala, Rigo, and Abao who are lesser in population and have the same lot of funding as my electorate of Kairukuhiri, which is vast. And population is the other factor because, you know, with lesser population, you have lesser demands also in terms of service delivery. So
earlier this year, Esoimo proposed to the national government the separation of Kairukuhiri so both can receive separate DSIP funds. This, he says, will allow services for remote areas like Menari.
Direct the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Intergovernment Relations to fast-track the Boundaries Commission proposal that is to come before Parliament and be adopted. I'm hoping prominence be given to my electorate as well as the other bigger ones in the country.
Isaimo officially opened staff housing and a double classroom in Manari. Manari's remoteness makes air transport the only way to bring in resources needed for the projects. Isaimo says the cost of freight costs almost the same as the project's resources.
They cost about 200,000 to get them completed, when in actual fact they are about 60 or 70,000 kina worth of buildings. So you see.
And with the ongoing dry spell, more funds will be required to ensure the delivery of relief aid. Isaimo says the slow release of DSIP funds from Waikani is another factor that delays projects in his electorate. Isaimo wants the national government to seriously consider land mass and population as standards in the disbursement of DSIP funds. With Koilala, Aba and Rigo districts having less people to govern compared to his electorate, Isaimo also urged government to consider separating Karukuhiri to better service the people. Leh Districts is working to improve community policing by providing training to more than 20 village court magistrates. The workshop opened yesterday by Leh MP Lojai Koza attracted village court magistrates from Leh and Ahi LLGs. Community policing is an area the MP is working to improve on to address law and order problems at the community level.
These are the lot of village court magistrates who have shown interest in enhancing their community policing skills. Leh MP Lojai Koza is backing more than 20 village court magistrates improve their skills in maintaining law and order in their communities. This initiative has come about the ever-increasing law and order crimes in Leh's communities. The village court magistrates are from the Leh and Ahi LLGs. Amongst the lot are a few police officers. The challenge has been the limited financial help they get in extending their services to their communities. They have called on the government and business houses in Leh to provide funding support for the volunteer work they do in maintaining order in their communities. Colin Barilai, National EMTV News, Leh.
The people of Gogodala in the Western Province are mourning the burning down of their traditional house in Port Moresby last Saturday. The house was built at the Constitutional Park last year for the celebration of the 5th Melanesian Arts Festival. The arsonist is believed to be from East Sepik Province, and the Gogodala people are requesting reconciliation and compensation for their lost artifacts.
This Gogodala traditional house was burnt down last Saturday during the East Sepik Provincial Day celebrations here in Port Moresby, organized by the East Sepik Students Association at the University of Papua New Guinea. The significance of this traditional house lies deeply within the social, cultural and spiritual lifestyle of the Gogodala people.
It is Gogodala cultural identity. It is also spiritual culture of Gogodala people, religious culture, as well as social culture, as well as physical culture.
When the house was burnt down, the news spread to the Gogodalas in Port Moresby and also in Western Province. The long house plays a significant role in the communities, and when the news reached them, they mourn. To the Gogodalas, the building is no ordinary building, as explained by the local leader, Duni Kolea.
You got law, I think, by me Tokolsem, it's a holy house for Gogodala tribe.
The Gogodala Longhouse accommodates the entire village. The main Gogodala tribe is subdivided into two sub-tribes that live in both sides of the Longhouse. The two sub-tribes have 4 clans each, allowing intermarriages to take place within the tribe. Back in the village, if someone burnt the house, he will be killed instantly, prompting a big fight or pay compensation to each clan. But with this incident, the arsonist is from a different province, prompting the Gogodala tribesmen to ask for reconciliation and compensation.
We will be approaching Semakor Somare in our formal documentations through the National Museum. We are forwarding all grievance statements, and we are forwarding two major demands.
Damages is a loss of pride to Gogodala people.
Sipikia, Kukim, all eight Gogodala tribe.
Quintan Alomp, National EMTV News.
Communities in Kutubu and Southern Highlands have been urged to embrace the linkages between culture and their environment. This message will be further emphasized through the Kutubu Kundu and Digaso Festival in September this year. The theme this year is preserving our cultural heritage through saving our environment.
The value there is to preserving culture and environment is the driving force for the Kutubu, Kundu and Digaso festival. The dances give a glimpse of what to expect come September 25th and 26th. Every year since the first festival in 2011, the Mineral Resources Development Company or MRDC has supported the festival with 50,000 kina. MRDC Managing Director Augustine Mano gave his reasons for the continued support.
It's our commitment to preserve the cultures of the Kurubu people, and we're committed to it. And with that, I would make that presentation of 50,000 again to 48 years of festival so that you celebrate the 40th anniversary.
Kutubu is one of the country's resource-rich areas hosting the Kutubu oil fields and the PNG LNG project. Its biodiversity is also widely recognized the world over through the work of WWF. As such, the festival not only promotes culture but also teaches sustainable development by preserving the environment and culture. Mickey Cavera, National EMTV News.
And National EMTV News continues with Trukai Sports. That's coming up next, and we'll give you all the details after this break. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The recent 2015 Oceania Rugby Cup showed the rest of the world talent and potential in the region. PNG Pukpuks dominated in the tournament and Tahiti came in second place, although ranked 97th in the world rugby ranking. The level and quality of rugby union came as a shock to the international audience. EMTV's Lorraine Genia reports.
The 2015 Oceania Rugby Cup provided a platform to showcase some of the finest matches of rugby in the region. American Samoa stamped their territory as debutants, while Solomon Islands brought physicality and rivalry, particularly to the PNG Pukpuks and Tahiti, ranking higher than ever before in the history of the Cup.
Because now we are the second place. It's the first time, long time ago, we'll be in the second place. And it's like in a plane, you know, just put on a button and so.
An indication of growth and a statement. The quality and level of rugby played was shared throughout the world through live streaming of the event, where prospective clubs worldwide would have been able to scout talent.
He'll go all the way. Good try from Papua New Guinea, Paul Nelson, number 20.
General Manager of the PNG Rugby Football Union and facilitator, alongside Wayne Schuster of Oceania Rugby, said this was a hint that the lowly funded sport and the PNG Pukpuks have the potential to progress further.
On Wednesday, with MTV broadcasting our games across the country and live streaming throughout globally. I mean, there is an appetite for rugby, and rugby is truly a global game.
While the Cup is a biannual tournament where all Tier 3 rugby countries battle it out, the onus remains on the independent bodies to maintain the hype of rugby union throughout their respective countries and the region.
Look, every time I come to one of these tournaments, I'm seeing a progression in the Pacific. If there's anything that I would encourage the unions to do is to work with each other and and to try and play more rugby yourself. Don't wait for Oceania to put on a tournament for you. Maybe it's the unions themselves now getting together and starting to look to introduce that sort of competition.
Lorraine Genia, National EMTV Sports.
Well, the Cook Islands and Samoa began their respective 2018 FIFA World Cup campaigns in perfect fashion with contrasting wins on the opening day in Tonga. Cook Islands secured a 3-0 victory over Tonga, while Samoa survived an American Samoa comeback to prevail 3-2 in a tough encounter.
Nuku'alofa's Loto Tonga Soccer Centre provided perfect conditions for the opening game. Tonga, playing their first home FIFA World Cup qualifier for 19 years, duly opened with hunger, enjoying some very early success with long balls. Hemoloto Polovili broke downfield for the home side, and his pullback found Pineasi Palai, only for goalkeeper Tahiri Elikana to make a point-blank save at his opponent's feet. Before the Cook Islands enjoyed their first sight of goal, as Grover Harmon headed narrowly wide from a corner. 7 minutes before the break, Cook Islands nabbed the all-important opener, allowing striker Tele Sagabi to push home from close range. They didn't have long to wait for their second. The Cook Islands were increasingly in the ascendancy against a tiring team in red, and it was no surprise when the visitors grabbed a third to put the match out of sight on the hour mark. The second match proved a feisty contest with a real derby feel. Samoan icon Desmond Faioso scored from close range, and the new-look American Samoan side looked rattled in the early stages. The seemingly inevitable second goal, however, arrived via a set piece. It was soon 3, as Moberly coolly slotted home after a pacey run from Faioso down the right-hand side to create the opportunity. American Samoa, however, were not to be denied, as Beauchamp deservedly got his side on the score sheet 7 minutes from the break with a stunning turn and shot from 25 meters out. The end-to-end action continued in the second half, with Samoa always looking dangerous at the break. Beauchamp then setting up a chaotic and tense finale with his second of the match 4 minutes from full time. The Stage 1 qualifiers continue on Wednesday with Cook Islands against Samoa, followed by American Samoa versus Tonga. Jeremy Mogi, National EMTV Sports.
Well, Trukai Sports continues with rugby league and athletics. That's coming up after this break. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Thanks for your company and welcome back to Trukai Sports. Rugby league fever in the nation's capital will continue with the Intercity Cup Grand Final to be staged at the Sir John Guy Stadium on Saturday. Agma Gurriers, who defeated Hella Wigman 14-4 on Sunday, will face the Simbu Lions in the Grand Final. Sports Minister Justin Chichenko confirmed this today in a news conference.
Yes, I believe so. That's all being coordinated with the PNG Sports Foundation to have that big event there, which will be fantastic for rugby league, and also to ensure that our people, especially, get opportunity to have their grand final at a beautiful infrastructure, just like Sir John Guy's Outdoor Stadium.
Team PNG athletes who competed in the 2015 Pacific Games will receive their medal incentives as promised by the government. At a press conference today, Minister Chichenko said the money has been handed over to the PNG Olympic Committee, who will then give it to the athletes.
Your government, as promised by our Prime Minister Peter O'Neill, has delivered the 6.6 million kina today to the PNG Olympic Committee to pay for the incentives that were promised for the gold medals, silver medals, bronze medals, and all the athletes that participated in the Pacific Games.
The government has delivered on their pledge to reward athletes who performed during the 2015 Pacific Games.
I'm pleased to say that the funding has now gone over today to the PNG Olympic Committee for them to administrate and distribute the funding accordingly to the athletes that were awarded the different medals and that participated at the Pacific Games.
Athletes who won a gold medal will receive 20,000 kina, silver medal 10,000 kina, bronze medal 5,000 kina, and participating athletes will receive 2,500 kina each. The Pacific Games Authority and Games Organizing Committee will be winding down over the next 3 months before the PNG Sports Foundation takes over the assets from the Pacific Games for future use. Dion Kombang, National EMTV Sports.
Well, Trukai Sports ends on that note. The weather details coming up after this break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
Now let's take a quick look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. In southern region, all centres relatively fine. In Momase, all centres fine weather as well. In the New Guinea Islands, brief showers expected in Buka. And lastly, in the Highlands region, all centres to look forward to cloudy periods, then morning fog. Now, before we go, just to inform our viewers again on the National Rugby League broadcast rights, it has come to the notice of MTV that other broadcasters have recently announced that they have purchased broadcasting rights for the National Rugby League competition. As exclusive broadcaster for the NRL for the past 28 years, through our free-to-air service, our commitment to our viewers and advertisers continue. Our understanding remains that we hold exclusive NRL broadcast rights for 2015 through to 2017, and we have not been aware of any formal tender process to say otherwise. We have sought clarification from the NRL and IMG as their agents, and until such time as we receive clarification on this matter, we will continue with business as usual to bring you all your NRL action free of charge. Well, that wraps up National EMTV News tonight. On behalf of the news crew, I'm Tokana Hasavi Jr. Thanks for your company. You take care and stay happy. Good night.